I know, it's your family. We're going to be so close to them. Hi. You want to be like a giraffe? Oh, stretch. Good job. My name is Erin, and I work on our animal experiences team. This is Frankie, who thinks he needs to steal every spotlight. Frankie is, well, we call him a llama, but technically he's a hybrid between a llama and an alpaca called a chorizo. I think so. I think it's kind of like mule, like it kind of depends on whether the mother is a llama or the father is a llama. All I know is Frankie is all adorable. So my background is in zoo education. I've been doing that since I was in college, and then I've been at the park since 2009. So I've been here a pretty long time and worked on our education team. Last year, when we kind of restructured some of our teams, I started working on the experiences team. So that means that I get to be the zookeeper that deals with the scariest animal, the humans, and get to connect them to awesome animal ambassadors like Frankie. So we are pretty fortunate that we get to work with animals all over the park. My favorites to work with are Mr. Frankie here. Hi, good morning. Our penguins, and then our education reptiles. We have a ball python, Cleo. She is probably my favorite animal in the whole park. Don't listen, buddy. I'm sorry. So I work with all sorts of different animals. So he would like to tell you that he gets to eat this petting zoo food all day, every day. Thank you for that kiss. That was charming. But that's just a treat that he gets when he trains or does walks with us, or when visitors feed them. He gets hay, different types of dried hay that he gets to eat. He also gets a pelleted grain called ADF. It's kind of like cereal without the milk. It's like a grain that has different vitamins, minerals, things he needs to be a healthy man. So llamas in general are more of a working animal. They were bred from wild species in South America to be pack animals and be able to carry heavy loads. Frankie does not have experience as a pack llama, but he does have experience as a guard llama. A lot of farmers in all sorts of places will have llamas to guard their livestock, like goats, sheep, that kind of thing. If there's any danger that they perceive to their family, they can alert the farmers. They, of course, can spit, they can kick. So they'll do pretty much anything to protect their herd. And Frankie definitely thinks that the goats in the petting zoo are his family and his responsibility to protect. So he's lived here for about 15 years. He's actually been here longer than I have. So I've known him the whole time that I've worked here, which is pretty cool. And he came here with one of our first kind of shipments of goats that came in. But he just loves the goats. He's always loved them. I don't know that he was used as a guard llama previously, but apparently, when you put a llama with a group of other animals, they will just assume that they're their family and protect them. And that is how he feels about the goats. But one of the biggest struggles with ambassadoring a very large animal like Frankie is that he weighs more than I do. So he is stronger than me. So it takes a lot of trust on his part for me to be able to put his halter on and take him on walks. Sometimes he really doesn't like to leave the petting zoo area. He'll tell us all about his big feelings. He'll grumble, especially when we have baby goats in the springtime. He's like, no, those are actually my kids and I have to babysit. It's a very important job. But once we get him to kind of walk away from the petting zoo, he's just a very good boy. As long as we're giving him snacks and attention, he'll go pretty much anywhere. So my very favorite thing about Frankie is that sometimes he can be a little bit naughty. So he doesn't do it as much anymore, but he would at at some points lay down very close to the petting zoo fence and let all the little baby goats climb on his back, and then he would stand up and then the goats would kind of parkour over the fence to get out and eat the grass outside the petting zoo. We actually made the petting zoo fence taller at one point because of this man right here. But he lets those baby goats climb all over him. They'll use him like a rock and jump off of him. It's super cute. But yes. So just the way that he just really loves his goat family, I think is absolutely adorable. I would say, ooh, I have two. So one is earlier this year, we had an event. It was like a wine and paint night kind of thing in one of our event rooms up front. And Frankie was requested as an animal visitor for it inside the room where I had never taken him inside anywhere before. And he was a trooper. He walked up there. He told me about his feelings the whole way up there with his little grumbles, but he walked in the room with no hesitation, walked all over, let people pet him, take pictures. He was just such a good boy, even though it was someplace that he had never really been before and something kind of new and scary for him. He just was such a good boy and trusted me so much to be able to do that. And then the second one is we had a kind of mock wedding venue tour kind of thing this summer, and we set up our courtyard by the splash park as a little ceremony site, and Frankie and I got to hang out, and he got to be the llama that walked down the aisle for that. And there's this picture that I have of me and him where we're just standing in front of the altar like we are the ones getting married. Not that I would actually marry a llama, but if I had to pick a llama to marry, I would pick this one. I think one of the coolest things about Frankie is his feet. So he has some kind of funky looking toes that are kind of split in the middle. So because they are a South American animal, they were bred to be able to be really sure-footed on rocky surfaces. So that's why they have that split toe to help give them that sure-footed grip. And it means that they're able to carry really heavy loads over like high mountain passes. They're also one of the closest relatives to camels, which is why their feet look so funky. So because they're domesticated species, they thankfully are not in trouble out in their native habitat because they live with people. That's their native habitat. But they do come from a place that is facing some difficulties. So the Andes Mountains in particular, it's a pretty unique ecosystem being so high up. And there are a lot of species that do live there, like chinchillas, for example, that are endangered. So I think the best thing that people can do to help really all animals is to learn as much as they can about species, make connections with really cool animals like Frankie. And then if they think, oh man, Frankie's really cool, let me learn about where he came from, then they get to learn about all of these other endangered species too, which helps everybody. So one of the biggest forms of enrichment for Mr. Frankie is going on walks and doing ambassador appearances. When he gets to smell new smells, see new things, meet new people, that's really exciting and enriching for him. And when we take him on walks and practice those training skills, he uses his brain. He can sometimes be a giraffe. Oh, he's a good boy. So that's super enriching for him. So the biggest thing about Frankie is that he lives with goats. So he thinks he is the size of a goat. He does not realize he is packing this much junk in his trunk. So when he goes to make a turn, he is kind of a wide load and will hip check you sometimes. So when we take him to events, we always have two keepers with us to make sure that people are steering clear of this end, not because he'll kick, but because he really does not know how big he is. So that's kind of the biggest safety measure we have to worry about with him. Other than that, the biggest danger from him is him giving us little kisses and nibbles when he's getting his food. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click on our interview with the lion keeper.